All right, before I take my tour, I had to come to the principal's office, and believe me, from 50 years ago, it wasn't the first time that I came to the principal's office, but today it's on a much better note. You know, I told you yesterday from the home studio, and it's gotten thousands of views, about this pilgrimage coming back here, and it's kind of ironic. I was sitting in the parking lot at New Brighton High School on this beautiful day, looking at the Sunrise Pool, thinking about that 1-0 football team and everything that's good with public education. And I was exchanging text messages with my childhood friend, maybe the best friend, Joe Hogan. And we both graduated from here, and Joe's gone on to do amazing things, and I've been pretty fortunate too. And I just thought, man, where has the time gone? So it's kind of a perfect day to be back home again in New Brighton. So we're going to introduce you to everyone here in the conference room adjacent to the principal's office, and Mr. Yates made this possible. And we're going to talk about public education and why I believe it's so special. Tell everybody who you are.
Hi, I'm Kate DeBoga, or Kate Garuccio. You got a new name.
No, just go. Keep going.
I am a 10th grade English teacher in the district. I have been with the district. This is my 8th year. 9 if you include my first year in education as building sub at the middle school back in 2009.
All right, she was a Mazza, but your married name is?
Garuccio.
Okay, so no edits here. We're just going to roll. Go right ahead.
All right, I'm Rob Wall. I have the joy of teaching all 4 grades, but I teach biology, anatomy and phys, and then environmental science. I graduated here in 2019, and then I went to Penn State and came back. So
Next.
I'm Nicole Nardoli, and I teach English 12 here. This is my 6th year here at New Brighton.
And of course, the big guy, 10 years in the making, the principal, Mr. Yates. Let's talk about these incredible teachers and what they have meant to this district. And this is just a handful of them. They make your job a whole lot better.
Yeah, thanks. But again, just a handful of the teachers we have here, and our staff is hands down, I would say the best educational staff that I've been the principal for 10 years here, and this is my 15th or 16th year total. It's these guys and girls who really rock the classrooms and bring the excitement and bring the love. I mean, we're a family here, and we treat each other that way, and the students we treat like young adults. Our job is to prepare them for the real world, after the 4 years, which Rob is a recent graduate of mine, and to sit across the table from him and interview him and see how far he's come, it's been awesome. They're just really great people, and above that, awesome educators.
All right, the young lady filming, please kind of go down there in that corner so we can get the big picture of the room, because now we're going to start talking about education. I was telling Mr. Yates earlier, I believe we were the second graduating class from New Brighton, 1975. And it was such a big deal, as I was telling my audience yesterday from the home studio, to go for that traditional brick and mortar in the heart of New Brighton, which really was around forever, to this incredible place. And it's just a shining example how New Brighton back in the day was taking a major step forward. But as they say, time stands still for no one. So here we are 50 years later in this school, and you're going to see in a little bit from now, this tour I'm going to take is still one of the most incredible places anywhere. But it is about hometown, and it is about New Brighton, population a little over 8,000, but they make it work. Talk about some of the things that you deal with in education, the tools that you have that have made this job continue to get better year after year at New Brighton. You first.
I feel like the community as a whole does a really nice job of banding together to do what's best for our students here. We have an amazing PTO that mostly assists over in the elementary school, but anytime there's a need at the high school level, they're more than willing to help out with those things. Our guidance counselors do a really good job of getting our students out into the community for community service projects through their career portfolios that they do here. And overall, we have a wonderful support from the community that come to the sporting events and really show up for our kids and make them feel loved.
What's so amazing about Rob here, that's really spectacular, and it really was a big reason why I think I've been able to do what I've done in my life, because I wasn't a great student, didn't go to college, went to broadcasting school, but there were those young educators, the men and women who were just a few years removed from high school. Some actually went to school with my sisters, and I was able to communicate and really respond better to them. So you understand, being a little bit younger, being here already, you are a driving force in making the lives of some young people really better and giving them an opportunity to get going in whatever their career is or education path, because they feel a little bit more comfortable talking to you, right?
Right, yeah, 100%. And when I'm in the classroom, like the number one thing I'm always thinking is this culture's always been here. Like if you were here in New Brighton 100 years ago, come to New Brighton today, the pride's there, the lion's still there. It's just a generational thing. So I am one piece of a huge puzzle, and when I'm in front of these kids, there was somebody standing in front of me, and they might be standing in front of my kids 20 years from now. And so ultimately, it's just giving back to the community because it's so good, it's so strong. You can walk down Main Street, you can go to a football game, you can go to a marching band practice, and there are just people all over the place. And it's the families. It's the families that have been here a long time. It's the families that are just moving in. They love it. And so it makes my job really easy because I'm standing in front of 90 to 100 kids a day that love the school that they go to.
Let me tell you how small the world is and how it is an amazing journey for all of us. So, I get out of here and basically grab my diploma and run for the door because I was a very challenged student. On a good day, maybe C-, but I loved my teachers and they made such a difference in my life, and it's one of the reasons why I believe in public education. But here's a kid from New Brighton, really nothing out of the ordinary, just a kid, 6 family members as far as children, mom and dad, grow up in Branson Heights, and I eventually start meeting people along the way, and one of my friends is Sonny Vaccaro, who happens to be the guy behind Air Jordan and Nike with Phil Knight. And who would have ever thought 50 years later, after just having him on the radio not too long ago talking about that movie on Netflix, this guy's got a Nike swoosh rocking New Brighton football. Listen, Mr. Yates, it's amazing how different high school is today, and to think where I was 50 years ago, to have that kind of swag and a Nike swoosh with a New Brighton Lions logo on a polo shirt, and a teacher gets to wear that swag, that's really special stuff.
Well, I'll tell you, when I came in, since my hiring date, we've gone through a lot of different types of situations in education, right? We went through COVID, which was unheard of by everybody in the world, right? During that time, online learning became very prevalent, and it's become more and more prevalent. The CTC, the Career and Technology Center, population that we send there is growing. So, throughout the years, there's been a lot of different changes. We offer our students a ton of stuff in their scheduling. I know Nicole here, she teaches an SAT prep class, and she also does a senior mentoring program, if you want to talk real quick about.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
absolutely. Myself and Rachel Didio, we started mentoring because we always have the stigma of like freshmen versus seniors and that like gap. So a couple years ago, we started where a senior gets 1 or 2 freshmen that they mentor around a student perspective to learn the building, to learn the ins and outs, to get those type of boost of confidence that the freshmen might need. And that also helps, the family become even stronger with the staff, with the students, and an overall great experience as they go through these 4 years.
Listen, I'm just gonna be honest with you because it's the best policy. I literally it crashed and burned my SAT performance, not once but twice. It would have been wonderful to have something like that back then. Who knows where my life would have gone, but people need to understand, not everybody's college material. We talk about the building trades all the time. I was at the Eastern Atlantic States Regional Council of Carpenters. I don't even know if they still have shop class, but back in the day we did. And I just think of, well, if you don't have one path to take, there's always another path. So your job and all of your job, including you, Mr. Yates, as a principal, as Mr. Antnini, the late Mr. Antnini guidance counselor did for me, showed me that maybe broadcasting would be a good path for me in this broadcasting school. So if it doesn't work for you, there's always other things that can work. That's why you have to have that communication and that bond with that teacher, right, Nicole?
Absolutely. We teach, SAT prep, and I also teach seniors, and with that, it's like, what is your future going to look like out of these walls? And you're right, it's not always college bound, and that's why, at least, especially in my classroom, we talk about VOTEC and what classes you can take, what trade schools are out there, what military branches would seek someone's interest, and that, I think, is what makes us so great and unique, is that we know our students are individually different with their paths, and we're able to express those paths and really give them all the information that we need, give them all the resources from our guidance counselors, our teachers, administration, and that's really what makes it fantastic for these kids.
You should be pretty proud of this staff. They're really
I'm
good.
very-
We're going to get into some deep stuff here in just a couple of moments, stuff that I think we need to talk about. I talk about this stuff on my radio show all the time. It's still to come. I'm going to kind of take all of the alum, the NB alum, of course, that social media page. I'll take you on a bit of a tour of this incredible complex that I love so much. And as I mentioned yesterday, all the years of doing play-by-play and everything I've done, I think this is like only the second time since I graduated that I've actually been inside this building. So it really is nice to be here, and I'm so grateful that they gave me this opportunity. Let's talk about the whole idea between brick and mortar and other ways, that remote learning that you went through. My opinion is this: that may be good for some, but I think the whole experience, Mr. Yates, of coming into a school, getting to know your fellow students, spending time with them, getting out of that house, that comfort zone, I still think socializing as far as those skills, they're so important as far as a young person's future. Go ahead.
Sure, and that I was starting to touch on that. We have a lot of different pathways for a lot of different types of students, a lot of different types of learners. We just had an online meeting for the new online students and their families, I think it was on Monday. And the last thing I told the families before they left is, you're still a student here. We still want you a part of this school. Don't break away and just do your computer work. Be involved, and we have a lot of kids that are involved in a lot of different things. One thing that I wanted to make sure I mentioned here, because if it wasn't this way, I don't think things would be going as good as they are. Our school board and our superintendent are fantastic when it comes to the tools that they give us, and also coupled with the leeway they give us to do our thing. Mm-hmm. And that's really helped out a lot over the years, at least as far as my tenure goes here. So it's allowed us to do a lot of different things for our students and our staff too, because they have a lot of great ideas. I am extremely proud of all of them, and they make my job a lot easier than they could be.
Okay, now let's talk about something else. This is one of the tougher subjects. Teaching numbers are dropping drastically in this country, and that breaks my heart. This is the most important job out there, and I've said it before. My two children, Robbie and Eva, their mother, longtime teacher, her father actually the football coach, guidance counselor, Emma Trazzo, at one time from New Brighton. She teaches in Hopewell. I've told my kids it's so important to understand that teachers have a job to do and we need them. That is alarming to me, that the numbers are dropping. And a lot of it has to do, I think parents need to let teachers teach and give them the respect and that space to do their job when those children are not at home. And before you are willing to take your child's side, you should at least listen to the side of the teacher. How difficult is it teaching in today's world? You first.
I really haven't had any difficulties, especially in this district, mostly because a lot of the community members are people I grew up with, they're neighbors, family, friends. And so if I do have to call home, 9 times out of 10, they're very receptive to hearing what happened, knowing that we care about our students and that we're really trying to understand maybe there's a situation going on that we're not aware of. Families are able to give us more information, context. Maybe the kid's just having a really rough day. There are times where we understand as educators that we can't control everything. There are factors at play that we have no idea about, but when we get more information, then sometimes it's easier for us to understand. And to have that support from the families, to know that they're not yelling at me on the phone or coming into the office screaming about, how dare she, whatever. It's such a blessing. I don't ever feel afraid to pick up the phone and call home. My students know that I care about them. They see me in the grocery store, they say hi to me. And I feel very much a valued member of the community. I don't feel any of that animosity that you hear about in other districts. And I never have here, which is why I've stayed so long. I mean, I've been here for a very long time.
Before I move on to the next thing, and we're going to get to that tour in a little bit, I don't want to keep these folks here all day, but there's so many things on my mind that I want to get to. You want to chime in on that at all?
Yeah, I would say, and something that's just I love about this district is the diversity we have here. It's awesome. I mean, we have students that come from all kinds of different backgrounds, and what I think makes this work, and the whole time she was talking, I was thinking about this, is every decision that gets made in this district is student first. Mm-hmm. So when I make a phone call home, when we have a meeting, when we have to come together, it's not about us at all. So I haven't had to have an argument. There's no dispute because the parent wants what's best for their kid, and we feel the same exact way, all of us.
Nicole?
Couldn't agree anymore, and especially with us being in a smaller district, we get to know the kids more one-on-one, and so when the parents feel like, oh, my teacher does know my child, and I'm able to actually have a conversation, it's not ever more negative. It's just like, let's come together as a whole entire force to help this child move on and to gain and grow, and that's our end. And like Rob said, we student first, like what can we do to help them, and that's what it feels like every time. So the parents and the community have our back, so it's never like oh no, I have to make this phone call. It's like, okay, what steps can we put into place, and the admin and the teachers and we come together and we rally around that student.
And so everything they just got done saying is why I'm so proud of all of our staff, because what that allows me to do is not only just focus on the students, but I can focus on our staff. So they're taking care of the grunt work in the classroom and everything like that, along with worrying about our students and then making sure they're dressed for success. It gives me a lot of time to help our staff grow.
All right, 988, the number, the suicide, obviously hotline. I just did a couple of shows with the National Suicide Prevention folks. Obviously, it's a very serious problem right now. Do you understand that the world is different now and the playing field is different now, and social issues are very important, especially with what a student is going through outside of this building. So this place, in many cases, has to become even more of a safe zone for them. Each of you on that, and then why you became teachers. But first, that question.
I think we're all very vigilant when it comes to our students and noticing if they're in despair, noticing if they're not acting themselves, or let's say I'm walking down the hall and I see a student go into the bathroom and they look upset. I will follow them in and say, are you okay?
Nice.
And I know that there are others in the building that do the exact same thing. We genuinely care about our students, and I think it's well known, and I think our students reciprocate that care and appreciate that care. We're all in touch with our guidance department frequently. If we notice a student is having an issue or difficulty, I will reach out to all the members on my team that also have that student in class, let them know, hey, here's a heads up, this is what's going on, keep eyes on that person, make sure they're okay, check in later. And we let our guidance department know as well. So we're very in touch with our students.
Well said, Rob.
And I think what makes it, you said about how different it is now we're challenging technology. So a lot of the times where we kind of have a different challenge is they're not going to tell us. They're not going to come right out and say it. They'll post about it, or it'll be something that comes up, like you said, outside of school. So that's why it's so important, why we keep fueling our teams. Our after school programs are unbelievable. We send tons of kids to the elementary school at 2:20 right away to go over and reach kids immediately. And so even though we might not be challenged face to face every day, we're preparing kids to go out and find kids.
And also building relationships with those students. Like, yes, we are the teacher, but we're also someone that cares of what's happening after the 7:30 to 2:30. And so if they're able to feel that with one of the teachers, we can be that outlet for them. And we can be like, we can send you to a resource, or we can go and talk to parents with you, or to any situation. And I think that's also the case of being a teacher, but also almost like being a friend as well, that they can come and talk and trust that we're going to be there for them.
And so with the suicide stuff, I tell our staff every year, and I tell every one of our grade levels in our grade level meetings at the beginning and throughout the year is, you know, everyone has a story. Some good, some bad, some ugly. And we're not here to make the person on our right's story harder. If anything, we're supposed to make their story better. Right. So I think our staff definitely and our students really buy into that. We do have a very diverse population here. And one thing that I'm super proud of our building is when outsiders come in, when they leave, the people who stop me in the hall or come into the office and say, you know, I really want to tell you, your students are awesome, and everyone was so polite and well-mannered and everything like that. So just, you know, with the level of our education, and also with the care of the staff and the students, it's a great place to come to work every day.
All right, you realize some 50 years from now, there'll be somebody will be here saying, I remember this teacher, that teacher, and this teacher. They do make a huge difference. So as we close here, before I take that tour in the next video, what made you want to become a teacher?
Oh, wow.
Was it a number of things?
It was. So I actually really wanted to be a lawyer, and
good.
And I enjoyed public speaking a lot. And now I get to combine that passion with education. I'm the mock trial coach for the district. We've gone to states many years, and we have winning tradition for the district. A lot of pride there. My student teaching experiences in college led me to really feel drawn to and impassioned for the profession. Once I got into it, I realized that there really wasn't anything else that I wanted to do, that there's just so much reward that you get to take from being an educator and helping kids along the way. And there's a lot of adults out there now that will still see me and say, Miss Massey, what are you doing? You know, so it's far reaching. I think I'm always going to be teacher in their mind, just like my teachers are always going to be a teacher in mine. So it's very rewarding.
Good stuff. Rob, how about you?
For me, my original plan wasn't law school, but it was med school. And my whole thing was I want to make a difference. I want to touch people's lives. And it didn't click with me until my second year of college that the people who impacted me most were my teachers. And so getting to put myself in a position where I can kind of have that impact on kids, it's unbelievable. And K through grad school, every professor, teacher, everyone I had made a difference in my life. And so they are my reason. And so that's why I'm doing this now.
I also went to college not wanting to be an educator, and I went to Duquesne University, and they had a tutoring program for the inner city schools, and I was like, yeah, I'll do it, why not? And it was middle school, and I went and I helped, and I loved that I was able to help a kid understand, and changed my major the next day, went to education, and haven't looked back. And I think back to my high school, and I had that one teacher who was there for me, and that's what I want to be for all my students. If I could be there and have that connection, that's why I wanted to be a teacher.
How about you, Mr. Yates?
Well, mine's a little bit of a different story as well. I wrestled for a long time growing up, and all I wanted to do was wrestle. And so when I went to college on my recruiting trip, they said, what do you want to do when you grow up? I said, I want to wrestle. And they said, we can't do that forever. So I ended up becoming a health and phys ed teacher. And through that, I was a wrestling coach then at that point in time, and I really enjoyed coaching and watching kids grow and learn and be successful. What I look at my job is I'm the coach. And, you know, I really like that every day, kind of, you know, pushing people, whether it's students or adults, you know, pushing them to do better and watching them grow and learn.
Is there any place really better to be in the fall than New Brighton?
No. I'm biased, but no.
I absolutely love it. Last thing, what's technology done to help you with your job? I mean, all the bells and whistles.
Oh gosh, I would say that it makes the students have less excuses. Like you can't say I left my folder at work or at school because everything is online. We put everything available online. They can access it with their phone. They can access it with their Chromebook. They can access it from their friend's Chromebook or their home computer. So there's really no excuses. We've taken away those limitations on access of materials. Students have so much available to them, resources, and can reach out. And I'm very guilty of not turning my work hours off when I go home. So if the students email with a question, I get right back to them. If a parent reaches out with a concern, I'll answer the question. If they see me at my kid's softball practice and they come up and ask me about something that happened in class, we can talk about that too. But the technology component just erasing that limitation of access. If I left my folder in my locker and went home without my homework when I was in high school and the doors locked at 4:00, guess what? I wasn't going to get my homework done that night unless I went and physically hand copied a worksheet from my friends into a notebook. It wasn't going to get done. These kids don't have that limitation, and really it's opened up the relaxed nature of it. They don't have to worry about at the end of the day, do I have everything I need? Because if they've got their Chromebook, they've got everything. So
Rob, technology.
Yeah, it's just now we have a classroom outside of the classroom, and it all goes back to we can support them anywhere now. So like you said, when they leave these doors, they haven't left us because we're right here in their Chromebook electronically, because they can send emails, they can reach out. It has allowed our social media to highlight students. So from our side of things, word's getting out. People in the community are now saying, hey, look, did you see the pictures they posted of the mock trial team, the golf team, different community outreach things? And that's really nice too, because I think people know what's going on in here, and that's a good thing because these kids have a lot to share. And now we're being able to post it and put it online for families to see too.
Last one. Go.
And then, being able to reach out to everyone, being able to be there, but also now from an educator's perspective, there's the sky's the limit. What we can implement now, what we can create, the different resources that are given to us, it makes it now just not tests and paper and, here is all that you can do. We are now limitless to what we're able to give these kids and make them want to come back in the building, make them want to learn, because we now are able to create things that they want to learn and they want to be a part of to make them grow.
All right, before we take the tour, I want to thank all of these wonderful teachers and the principal, Mr. Yates, for letting me do this. But let me tell you about the original Brighton boys. And you know, we grew up in Gulf Branson Heights many falls ago. And people like Mark Nemisak and Danny Sheets and Mark Barkley and Billy Pate and Billy Gray and the great Joe Hogan and my dear friend Mark Nemisak, Butch and Rick Powell, Hank and Pat Balzer, Brad Schaefer, the list just goes on and on, Lee Borkovic. We were all a part of this school. And I must tell you, to all of you people that are entering that senior year, as I said yesterday in the home studio, keep it in picture, in focus. Why? Because it goes like that. And one day, whether you believe it or not, and if you are blessed to live as long as I have throughout all of this journey that has been a bumpy ride at times, but for the most part a successful run, you'll be here someday thinking, boy, I should have embraced it a little bit more. But coming back here today in this tour that I'm about to take is definitely a prize and a real blessing. It's your Pratt Pack. Stay with us, because you're going to now take a walk with me through the hallways of New Brighton High School, truly one of the best places anywhere in the country and the best community anywhere, I believe, in the country to raise and educate your children because of this staff at NBHS. It's your Pratt Pack Part 2, moments away.